An explosive bantamweight title fight headlines UFC 292 in Boston as the dominant champion Aljamain Sterling takes on the Suga Show, Sean O'Malley. Here for the preview, the veteran MMA coach at Fortis MMA, Sayif Saud. Sayif, they say styles make fights, and that's exactly what we have in this matchup.
They sure do, Brendan. Here we've got the classic grappler versus striker battle. The champion Aljamain Sterling, an elite grappler with some of the best back control we have ever seen in the lighter weight classes. He's really rounded out his game with his unorthodox striking style, the Funkmaster style that is very effective, also a very high fight IQ, taking on the high-flying Sean O'Malley, a brilliant striker with speed, power, accuracy on both sides. O'Malley's got dynamic kicks, a beautiful footwork, the way he blends it all together, always setting traps and changing the range. This fight, we've got two guys that both know what they want to do. It's going to come down to who executes on fight night.
Aljamain Sterling has been a dominant champion and looks to defend again, but Sean O'Malley is a colorful character, but he has the skills. He has earned this championship opportunity. As we dive into Fight Focus, we've talked about Aljamain Sterling on this show before. We've never really been able to dive into the X's and O's of Sean O'Malley in this format, so we'll start with him and what makes him best, his striking.
An excellent striker. Sean O'Malley is so dynamic on both sides. He's constantly switching. He's constantly doing different things all the time in the octagon, keeping his opponents guessing. Let's just take a look at this right out the gate. So we talked about O'Malley fighting both sides. So let's just start with this. So he's going to throw a nice little hard leg kick right here, and he's going to hit Thomas Almeida. And I want you to watch what he does. He's going to shift over to the right now with his footwork. He's going to step back over and he's going to line back up. All right, we'll stop right here. So you just get hit with a hard leg kick, bang, okay. Now the guy goes over that way again. It's like, okay, maybe he's going to kick my leg again. Well, you see here when he's going to wind up just a little bit, and O'Malley doesn't really show what he's doing. His stance, the way that he moves, it's so different. The way that he moves, you can't really tell what's going on. So let's break this down here. I want you to watch this leg. Okay, this leg is now in motion, right? You see he's got his eyes up. He's looking right at him. He's reacting. But I want you to watch the reaction of that leg from Almeida. Let's watch what he does. Freeze. Almeida has made the read what? This is going to be a leg kick. He sets outside to check, and O'Malley's so fluid here, but O'Malley uses that fluidity to be so smooth. Boom. He uses that front kick almost like a jab. He can throw it from the rear. He can throw it from the lead. So here's an example. Bang your leg. Boom. Move on. You think I'm going to kick your leg again? No, I'm going to hit you with a front kick. So excellent front kick. Here we go. Here he is again with Almeida. Let's just let this play through. There's the left. Oh, rocks him with a huge head kick. Sits him down again. Let's take a look at this. Let's see how he sets this up. We know he just threw a left hand right before that, right? Throws the left hand, backs him up. Watch what he does. He throws another left hand here, O'Malley. And this is the same thing we saw Gaethje do, the same thing we saw Leon do. There's the left hand. So O'Malley throws the left hand. Let me get out of the way, right? But what he doesn't see is this thing is already in motion, Brendan. So, I mean, just goes to show you the fluidity and the movement here that we've got with O'Malley. So he's got that thing in motion. Almeida's like, man, I'm glad I got out of the way of that. Bang. I mean, and he sat right into that kick. So double the force. This is the also impressive part. After he hurts him, look at this position. We have Almeida covered up. O'Malley is so good at going around the guard. He's going to land that punch right on the chin right here. He loops it right around. And I mean, this is happening within a millisecond. Sits him down again. So this is that dexterity that he has in both the right and the left side. So we went over the left side. We went over the right side. Now let's just look at the right hand from the rear. So we see it here from the rear. He's going to throw a big overhand, and he's going to land it again. We talked about his ability to loop, right? He's really good at looping those shots. And not only does he loop, but he locates. So he's looping the shot, but he's always locating on the chin, which is really the hard part. So this punch right here is going to hurt Pavia pretty bad. Stumble him, get him rocked. Here comes O'Malley, putting the combinations together, but here's what I want you guys to look at. Now, when he gets back up to this position right here, okay, now he is in the southpaw stance, but he's going to use this right hand as the lead. And this punch that he's going to land right here, this hook, he throws it there, doesn't quite land it. He's going to come back with the uppercut. Watch this hook. Boom. I mean, the way he turns this over, we see he's got the shoulder locked right here. He's got the whole body going this way. And he did this quick, right? He throws the right hand. Now he's pursuing. Now he's southpaw. Now he's orthodox again. He's so good here. It's so fluid. He doesn't have to think about it. This is a huge punch. Right hand now from the lead. Lands this punch, rocks him, hurts him, then a big left hand, and that's it. He sits him down. The ambidextrous ability of him to land power with both sides. So here he is against Pedro Munoz. And Pedro is a great fighter, a lot of experience, a top 10 guy, perennial top 10 guy. He's been there. He's seen the tricks. He's fought some of the toughest guys. So there's not a lot that's going to surprise him. But O'Malley has some things that are just different, right? Built different. Was that they say? Built different.
Yeah.
So he does this little grab out here, right? We talked about the length. Here's a little grab. And I want you to watch what Pedro does in reacting to that grab. So Pedro's going to kind of back up. Now watch O'Malley just spring right into the jab. So he does that little grab. And as Pedro backs up, he takes that hand and goes right into the jab. So there's one jab to get Pedro to back up. But I want you to watch what he does again. He's just going to do a little half pump. And there it is again. This is the high level stuff that I'm talking about. He's blinding his opponent, right? He threw one hard jab, but the second one doesn't come all the way back. It's just a little blinder. And why do we blind? Because we want to come straight over the top. Watch him land this long right hand. And I mean, we see the length here and the way that he covers distance. I mean, he just covered all that distance with that little double jab. Cracks Pedro, hurts him. And we're going to see Pedro right here. He's like, I got to get out of here. Man, I'm in a bad spot. So Pedro sees he's orthodox. He knows he needs to go where? He needs to go this way. He needs to get away from the power side. So smart. Sean is so quick on his feet. Watch this. Oh, you want to go that way? No problem. Spin kick, flows right into it, right? And these are the things that he does. Now, just barely landed, didn't really do much. But if I'm Pedro Munoz, I'm thinking, geez, man, you're so long. You're backing me up against the cage. I try to circle out. Now these kicks are flying at me. It starts to break the confidence of the other fighter. And that's what O'Malley does. He's so versatile. He starts breaking the confidence. Here we see him against Chris. And, this fight, he really hit this guy with a ton of shots, put a lot of damage on him. This just shows you the fluidity in his hands. And I just want to take a look at this uppercut. I mean, look at this. Watch O'Malley, what he does here, how he level changes. He's up top. This guy goes to counter. Watch O'Malley. He's going to go way down here, kind of similar to Yair. We talk about that elbow, and then come back up with a beautiful uppercut. So just a very fluid striker, power on both sides, both legs and both hands. Sugar show.
Well, part of what makes him such a great striker is the footwork that you mentioned, and he needs to be able to move that big frame around the octagon, and he does that expertly.
Absolutely. He blends his striking ability with incredible footwork, incredible movement. He's a master at range and setting traps. So let's take a look at some of the things he does and how he sets these traps up, and he's very effective at it. So here we're going to see him. He's just going to walk in and, all right, doesn't seem like anything crazy, but when we actually start to unpack this and see the little mental games that Sean O'Malley's playing. So Sean O'Malley, we're going to just stop it right here. All right. You're fighting the guy, right? I'm standing across from the octagon. I'm looking at you. My heart's racing. I'm nervous. I'm thinking, I'm taking in all the information. I don't want to overthink it, but I'm going to look at your stance. Okay, you're orthodox, all right? What do I got to worry about here? I got to worry about, maybe I got to worry about this. I got to worry about that. Right? You're coming out, you're orthodox. Mm-hmm. So I kind of make my reads as I'm coming into the middle, right? And I kind of get a game plan going a little bit. Watch what O'Malley does here. And it seems so subtle, and people don't notice these things, but these are the things that get the opponent so flabbergasted right away. So we're going to watch as O'Malley walks forward. He's going to walk forward, and then he's going to switch stances right into the southpaw. Right? Okay, well, that doesn't seem like it's too big of a deal, right? He switches right to the southpaw, but watch how he uses it. Okay, let's touch gloves, all right? But now he's not going to lose any space. So we see where he's at right now when they touch gloves. This is the very start of the fight. Watch how O'Malley uses that little stance switch. Now he's going to go for a little bit of a grab, where we always see Almeida back. Then there's that little lead leg side kick, right? So from him stepping through to here, Now he goes a little bit of a grab. Now he goes lead leg side kick. He's already got Almeida backed up behind the black line. Now he's going to throw that left hand right after that real long. And this is 3 seconds into the fight, 4 seconds into the fight. Almeida's all the way backed up in the corner. And all that started with that little stance switch and that little plan to get that little kick out and kind of back him up. So he sets people up with his footwork brilliantly. And it's small stuff that you don't really see. Let's just watch him here. Little pump, little shimmy, little shake, boom. All right, then there's the delivery. Beautiful spin kick. And let's see how he does this. This is the thing about Sean O'Malley is he's so good both sides, you don't know what's coming. And people get so caught in the footwork. Here he is set up. He's got to think about this leg, this hand, right? But O'Malley knows that. He gives him a little shake and bake, a little bit of sugar. Stop. Let's go right here. He walked his way this way, right? To spin back in. So he can create space. I'll go here, I'll go there, and I'll come back here so fast that Almeida, as he's tracking, he creates the space to come back into the spin. And let's watch what he hits him with, the heel. When you get hit with the heel, because it's such a small focus point, the power is like tenfold, and you get hit with the flat part of the foot. This is exactly what you want. You want to hit with that heel, right? You want that spin, but you want that impact to be with that heel because it's such a small point of force that it hurts so much, just kind of like the knuckles, right? So this kick right here, right in the ribs. And I mean, he catches him clean. And the speed in which he can do this, it's really hard for his opponents to track. So catches him here, and then watch. Little feint, right into the left hand. So again, very fluid from the punches to the kicks with the footwork. And here we go with Pedro Munoz. And Pedro's doing all the right things. We talked about how he's a veteran, and we see this. This is an overhand right that O'Malley's going to throw right here. Okay, so we know Pedro's got his hands up. He understands the defense, and he knows, like, man, I got to get out of here, right? I don't want to be circling towards the power side. Let me circle away towards the weak side. So Pedro does exactly that. As he gets hit, he blocks, and then he circles out. Well, that's great. Let's watch Sean O'Malley's footwork here. So we know he's orthodox. We know now that Pedro is circling away, right? So O'Malley's like, oh, you want to circle away from my power? That's not a problem. I'm just going to step up in a southpaw. And then here he goes. So he just changes the picture so easily, right? I'm here, you go away from me, go ahead and start going. Now I just go like this. Now I'm southpaw again. All my weapons are what? Right in front of you.
Right.
So he knows that. He's really good at setting these traps. So right as he does that, watch O'Malley. He's just going to kind of leap right in and kind of catch Pedro flat-footed here, right? He doesn't even really hit him, but he sees that opportunity. So Pedro, let's just kind of watch Pedro's reactions here. Pedro's going to back up here. O'Malley throws again, and then O'Malley's going to back up. Doesn't really catch him clean, but let's stop it right here. Now, after O'Malley stepped up southpaw, when he stepped back, he steps back orthodox, right? And now again, the weapon that he had him running from, he's got lined up where? Right in front of him again. And so this is how O'Malley sets these traps up. And just watch Pedro's reaction right here. You could just tell he's like, geez, man, this guy is just killing me. He's so out of position, right? Because when you circle, you've got in your head, okay, I'm going to circle, I'm going to reset. But O'Malley doesn't allow that, constantly switching his legs. Brilliant stuff by O'Malley. Very small things that you don't see. And this was so fast that I'm going to have to go back. Right. And this just shows you the movement. These are the things that you don't see, the feints, the little bit of motion that draws guys out that lands those shots. So good defense here, hands up, right? Focus, he's looking right at him. No problem, I'm locked in, I got my hands up, I'm ready. O'Malley's a little bit low, but he's aware, he knows. Pavia sees it. Watch O'Malley's gonna give him just a little bit of sugar and watch what he does with his hands. So O'Malley's gonna give him a tiny little feint right here, and then look at what Pavia does, right? All he did was just feint, just a little bit. He went from here to what? Here, almost like a grab, like a reaction. And that's exactly what you want. You want to get the other guy's hands away from his face, so that way, when you do this and stick that jab straight out, bang, right? And I mean, again, we see the length from O'Malley right here, the length, the 72 inches. He gets guys to bite, and if you stay in front of him, he's got the speed and also the length to touch you. We know that Aljo is going to try to pressure O'Malley. We know Aljo is going to try to get him backed up where? He wants to back him up here. He wants to backpack him right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to back him up here. That's what he wants. He wants to get him against the fence. Aljo pressures people. He doesn't stand around. Even if he doesn't get the takedown, he'll pressure with the hands. So let's watch O'Malley. We know O'Malley wants to stay inside these black lines, right? If you're a striker, you want to stay inside. We always say, stay inside the black line. Stay inside the octagon, within the octagon.
Mm-hmm.
Stay away from the fence. That way you can utilize your footwork and you can keep the guy in the middle. Let's just watch this right here. Jab. Look at how aware O'Malley is here. Jab, jab. He knows. Now, when he gets close to the cage, watch this. He catches him coming in with this length. And again, he already starts to create the angle. You see O'Malley, when he started backing up, he already started to kind of move this way. But this is the danger with O'Malley, is he's so fast and so long that he's going to launch this shot perfectly as he's coming in. Let's just watch this right down the pipe. And again, you see the length, right? The length here of O'Malley. So this is really, really applicable to what the fight that he has with Aljo.
Mm-hmm.
When Aljo tries to back him up, he's got to make Aljo pay and he's got to hurt him, but then he's also got to get away from the fence and you're going to see him just skate out. He understands where he needs to be. So incredible footwork from O'Malley. He knows where he needs to be successful inside the octagon, use his weapons.
Aljamain Sterling certainly knows what he needs to be successful. He's used the grappling to become a champion, but his striking is coming along, and what he lacks in the fundamentals and the standout striking, he makes up for in the fact that it's unique to his own style.
Absolutely right, Brennan. And Aljo has worked so diligently on his game. He knew this was kind of a hole, but now he's got this funky style, the Funkmaster style, that he utilizes so well to do the things that he's good at, right? To pressure guys, to get him against the fence, and to kind of get those takedowns. So Aljamain has really kind of come into his own, as you will, with his striking. And let's just look at this, right? And the funny thing is, even though he's not as detailed, and even though he's not, he's not like O'Malley, the Flash, they do a lot of the same things, which really speaks about why they're at the top of the division. So here you see Aljo orthodox, right? And Pedro's thinking, okay, you got your right hand, you got your right leg. Aljo's just going to do a real simple step back here. And then he's going to switch to southpaw, all right? And now whenever you're fighting Aljamain Sterling, you got to worry about the wrestling. Whenever he gets low, whenever he starts moving, and you'll notice his posture got a little bit low. So Pedro's like, okay. But in doing that, he also got his rear leg straight in front, right? And you're going to see, what's he going to do with that rear leg? This is probably his best weapon. And even though it's a simple one, we started the same thing with Sean O'Malley.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to throw it right up the middle, the front kick, right? And he uses this like a jab. Aljo will throw kicks to get guys to back up, and he'll use the front kick a lot just to kind of get guys backed up because they're always worried about the takedown. But he just does a simple step back, line that rear leg up, lands that, gives Munoz something to think about. And this was the little detail that I really liked on the exit. On the exit, he angles out, but watch that little hook that he puts right in front of his face. He's going to get Pedro to blink a little bit and just kind of stop. He doesn't hit him with it hard, but he kind of stops his momentum. So here he is again, fighting Pedro, and we talked about Pedro being a good test. And you'll see Pedro throw the front kick, and Aljo is southpaw. He's going to react, he's going to block the kick, and watch him counter with the lead right hand here, right? And I mean, this is a good shot right to the chin, too. So Aljo will surprise people. He's backing up a little bit, springs right into the counter. Great right hand, but we're not done. After he lands that right hand, he's going to step back orthodox, okay? So he was southpaw, boom. Now he steps back orthodox. He's going to start to angle just a little bit to the weak side, right? Just a little bit. And as Pedro comes forward, now the right hand is going to come as the rear power shot. So again, I'm here, doesn't matter. I can throw the right as a lead. I can throw the right from the rear. 2 good shots against Pedro, catches him clean. And here he is against Cody Stamann. And the reason I put this in here is, Cody's a good striker and a good wrestler, an explosive guy. But this just shows Aljo's evolution, right? We always say in striking, you want to use opposite sides. If I kick with the left, right, I want to throw back with the right. If I'm this way, I want to go left and I want to go right. I want to use that coil in my body and I want to load both sides. So when I use one side, I can come back with the other side, right? It's kind of like a yin and a yang. But that's a high-level striking thing. And it's not something that you can do easy because you got to have really good balance. So here we see Aljo. He's going to fire this head kick up here. And it's a good head kick. Cody's kind of ready for it a little bit. I mean, doesn't land flush, kind of deflects it. But let's watch Aljo's right hand here. The lead right hand. Bang. So Aljo comes back from that kick, gets his head way offline, boom. And he knew Cody was going to go that way. The kick drove him that way. So as he brings his leg back, he fires that right hook. So again, it doesn't look like traditional striking, but it works. It's very effective. I mean, he's catching these guys clean. You know, the tape doesn't lie. This is really, really slick. Boom. No, you thought you were going to get me, but you're not. Here I come. Here I come. Aljo, when he starts pursuing people, he goes after them. He's not afraid in there. So let's kind of unpack this. Aljo's in front of him, southpaw. He throws that inside leg kick. We know he likes to kick. Now he's going to have a kind of a big motion right here, right? And Jimmy just sits back after that first kick and waits. And guys will do that. Oh, you kick me? The next time you kick me, I'm going to punch you in the face. So as Aljo's throwing this kick, Jimmy just gets out of the way, and you can see Jimmy get ready to charge. But here's the part that impresses me the most. Aljo kind of, in the middle of a spin, what is he doing? He's looking at Jimmy. He's always thinking, Aljo, and his striking shows that. And as he spins, he throws it. And I mean, say whatever you want. You can say, it wasn't pretty or he got lucky. He's the one that threw the technique, and he lands it flush. And these are the things that mess people up because it's unorthodox. They're not ready for it. Here he comes hot in pursuit, and I want to freeze this right here. We told you he likes to kick to get people backed up. But also the thing about Aljo is he's got 71-inch reach. He's got long arms as well. One of the longer guys in the division next to Sean. And you can see that reach here, right? I mean, he will throw, and he's long, so he can back guys up when he gets them against the fence, either with his legs or even with his hands. I mean, look at that full extension here. So Aljo will hurt you on the feet. He will surprise you. The Funkmaster style works for him.
And also, you mentioned it there, his fight IQ is part of that striking and part of that footwork. We'll dive into the footwork too, but also underappreciated is how smart he is within the fight, which has allowed him to defend the championship belt.
The reason he's been able to do that, he game plans so well and he executes so well at a high level, right? And you just got to give him credit for that. So for this particular skill set and to highlight this, I want to use the Henry fight. Henry's well known for his fight IQ and also, he's a 2-division champion and is a very vocal guy. But Aljo outsmarted him in this fight. And, Henry even admitted that as well. Aljo was so slick. And this was a really hard challenge because now he's fighting a guy who can wrestle like he can, which was always the X factor. Like, well, yeah, you can take these other guys down. Well, you're not going to take this Olympian down. But let's watch some of the tricks here from Aljamain Sterling. So right out the gate, look at the pressure. Look at the pressure from Aljo. Little shake and bake, let me cut you off. And that's what I want to talk about, the kicks, right? When you try to exit out, he will throw these kicks at you. And you see Henry's trying to exit away. I mean, look at this thing. I mean, right at his head. And Henry, again, where's Henry at? He's behind what? He's already behind that black line. And I mean, that's just right out the gates. And you think Henry Cejudo was like, oh, I'm going to let Aljo push me around and back me up. Like, yeah, we're right. Henry was very confident going into this fight because he has the skill set. But Aljamain finds a way, and here he is backing Henry up right out the gates, got him against the fence here. And now we saw that little right hand right there. And Henry, this was a closer fight. I mean, we can't act like Henry didn't do anything. Henry was landing this right hand. He was kind of backing up and landing this right hand on Aljo. This just shows Aljo's in-game ability to change what he's doing as well. So Aljo knows that, and he's going to draw this out here. But as he draws it out, let's watch where his head is too. I want you to see where his head is and what the distance management is here, right? Both of these guys are trying to manage the distance. So Aljo, watch how he steps up here and watch Henry. Here comes the punch from Henry. It's just short. So he's here. Throw the right hand at me right here. Okay. Now, when I do this, though, now look at where my head is and look where my body is. Throw the right hand. Look how much further away I am.
Yeah.
Don't lean that much. Right?
Yeah.
So, and he does that real subtle. He just goes like this, and then he goes like this. Now we're going to look at the second part of why he did that. So Henry missed that shot, and now in retaliation, he's like, all right, well, there was your punch. That's great. Now here comes my punch. He's right in front of him, but he's right in front of him with the left hand. So again, he changed stance, let Henry throw his punch, and now he's got his lead hand straight. That's the counter to the orthodox fighter for the southpaw, is the straight left hand. So there's some fundamentals going on here that Aljo understands in the striking game that I don't really think anyone gives him credit for. But I mean, Henry's a smart guy, and I mean, he outsmarted Henry in this fight. So beautiful land here by Aljo. Again, just showing his intelligence. And we go back to the kicks. And here he is throwing this big question mark kick. But let's look at what he does. As he throws this kick from the orthodox position, he lands southpaw. Now, to continue this, to back Henry up, he's going to throw this front kick right up the middle. Up. Then when he lands, now he's back to what? He's back to orthodox. He's kicking the whole time, backing Henry up, right? But he's making Henry react the whole time. These aren't crazy kicks. It's not like they're going to knock Henry out, but he keeps on getting Henry to react. Now Henry's like, all right, man, whatever, I've had enough. Aljo's like, well, I'm not done yet because you left your leg out there, so let me just bang your leg. So this is how his footwork and him changing position all the time and getting guys to react, because they've got to worry about the wrestling, has opened up his striking game. And he's so good at setting these traps. This fight with Henry, it was close. But Aljo was always able to kind of just be a step ahead. And this sequence kind of shows that. So we see him here. He's orthodox. Henry's orthodox. We know where the threats are. We understand what's going on. Both fighters are well aware of the distance. And we're going to see Henry, he's going to throw like just a tiny little leg kick. And let's watch Aljo's feet here in his footwork, what he's going to do with his feet, because it's all about the footwork here. So as Henry throws this little leg kick, we're going to see Aljo just kind of step back, right? He ends up hitting him, in the shin, which is nothing. So Aljo steps back and he switches to southpaw, right? No big deal. I got out of the way. But you know what? Not only do I want to get out of the way, but I also want to land. And this is a good kick. Shin, he's in close, right? Kind of getting that hand there. So he was here. Henry throws a kick. Nah, nope. And then he counters. So 1 for Aljo, 0 for Henry here. All right, great. Not a big deal. Little leg kick. Now he's going to step back again. Now he's orthodox, okay? But again, when you're the fighter and these things happen in your head, you're like, man, like that little, right? Like this dude he's messing with me and he's winning. So even though it's tiny, it starts to add up. The confidence starts to kind of wane. So, okay, you landed that shot. Now we see that he's orthodox again, and watch what Aljo does. Aljo's going to use a rear elbow here with the right arm, and he's going to land this flush. Look at that position, right? And this he wasn't doing that a lot. He just kept mixing it up. He's backing up, and instead of throwing a kick or a punch, he leads with an elbow. Lands it beautifully, right? Always switching up what he's doing. Now let's see. We know Henry was trying to land the right hand. Here comes Henry. Aljo out of the way, right? So now there's 2 for Aljo in this little exchange. Aljo's always just a step ahead. Henry not frustrated. All right, let me walk you down here. Like, you're playing tag with me. I'm not a huge fan of this. I'm going to get a hold of you. I'm going to hurt you. I'm a powerful striker. And here comes Henry again. He's like, I'm going to land this right hand on this dude. He was looking for it all night. Here comes the right hand. Nope. Aljo, again, is already out of the way. Here's the right hand. Aljo's already on the level change. He's already getting in. And the reason this is such a big deal is how good he is once he gets in there. And we'll see what Aljo does here. He's going to drive Henry all the way to the cage. And this is Aljo's position. This is huge for Aljo. And we're going to unpack that here shortly. But this is big. So in that little sequence, he hit Henry twice. Henry missed twice, and then he sets up the takedown and the entry. So Aljamain Sterling has footwork and his fight IQ against the best in the division, and he's coming out on top. We got to give him credit.
As you said, at the end of that clip, we get into just the beginning of the wrestling and the grappling, the tip of the iceberg, which we will now kind of dive into because, decorated college wrestler,
100%.
It transitioned nicely to mixed martial arts all the way to a UFC championship.
A All-American wrestler and a black belt under Matt Serra. Aljamain Sterling has some of the best grappling we've ever seen in the bantamweight division. His back control and his body triangle, once he locks that body triangle, it's second to none. I mean, you've got problems. You're losing that round. You're losing that round. So here we see Aljo. And again, we're going to use Henry because, Henry is such a good wrestler. This was what everyone wanted to see. Is Henry going to be able to, stop his takedowns and beat him up? Well, here's Aljo again, and it never looks great, right? It's not really the prettiest, but watch how slick this is. And I mean, Henry is defending this. He's got a good base. And we're going to see Aljo's in on this single leg. And we can see Aljo, he's got the single. He's got his head kind of down. He's got his butt way in the air, right? This is not really what you want. But Aljo has his own style, and he's so good at it. And this really proves it because Henry is probably one of the hardest people to take down in MMA. So we're going to see Henry. He's going to pummel inside, which is the correct thing to do. And he's going to get an underhook. Here it comes, right? This is exactly right. You want to get him up off of your hips. You want an underhook. So Aljo kind of baits him to that. And here we see Aljo. He's going to step around and I want you to watch this hand. I mean, let's watch this hand and let's watch what he does with his arms. So we already see this. We know Henry has the overhook and we see Aljo's got the underhook, okay? Now watch what he does. He's going to step around that overhook, Aljo, and he's going to connect his hands. You're going to see that lock. There it is. So now he's got what we call an over-under. Henry still has that underhook, but he's clamped down on it so much, it kind of has no power. Do you see how weak it is? An underhook, you want it to be high up, so that way you can steer the guy and get leverage. When it's down here, it doesn't have any power. So Aljo, he knew what he was doing there. He let him get the underhook, and then he stepped through. Now he's got his hands connected, but that still doesn't mean anything. It's an over-under. Watch how he steps through here. We're going to watch him step through with his legs. And we're going to talk about how he executes this. There's the step through. So now he's got his hip involved. He's got his legs involved. He's got that lock and that lock. And you just see how big and strong he is as well, right? But it's still Henry Cejudo. But man, he's going to hike him down right here. And this is huge. And you can see once he gets him down, he's still got that grip, right? He's got Henry down, and he's got Henry down in the place where he wants to be, where he can take Henry's back. And Henry knows that. He's trying to turn back in. Couple little knees right here from Aljo. I mean, just his positioning is so good right here. He goes to throw the hook in. But again, we really got to focus on this. This is such a key point for him for what he does, right? His over-under grip, because he's got 71-inch arms, he can create a lot of leverage and a lot of power there. Here he is against Corey Sandhagen. And this clip is really, really important. Corey is very similar to O'Malley. He's tall, he's long, he's an explosive striker, awesome knees, awesome kicks, awesome punches. So this was really an intriguing matchup because it's like, man, you see Sandhagen, the knees that he throws, and can he catch Aljo coming in? And Aljo, right away, you see these two, they're going to be actually kicking at the same time here. And I was kind of surprised to see Aljo throwing kicks like that. But again, we know he likes to back people against the fence. But if you see this position, he is not in a position to wrestle right here. He was on one foot, throwing a kick off balance. He was not trying to get a takedown. He was trying to back Corey up, but they ended up kicking at the same time. Let's watch how fast Aljamain can get to his position. He's way off balance here. Whatever. He sees that opportunity. He gets that head on the outside, and he drives Corey right into the cage. I mean, just like that. And this is really what Aljo's bread and butter is. He uses this underhook, and he really drives up. He gets kind of low in a way that's a little bit different. It's not traditional wrestling, right? He's not dropping down for doubles. He's kind of steering guys. And we're going to see what he does here against Sandhagen. He's going to use that underhook. He's got all that weight and all that pressure in him. And, you know, Corey's like, man, whatever. You're not going to get me down here. I know what you want. And I watch him get really, really low right here. Again, he's really low. This is not a position where you go, oh, yeah, he's going to get this takedown. He looks like he's in great space. But again, I want to pay attention to how he hugs and hikes that underhook. And him and Corey are hand fighting down here. And you can see that Aljo's kind of playing with the leg a little bit. Maybe that he's going to try to pull that leg out. But watch what he does. Corey's going to try to fight here with that hand. We're going to see a little hand fight go on right there. It is. Now they're hand fighting. Let's stop it. This is the critical piece of this whole takedown. He took away Corey's post hand. He took away that ability for him to pummel inside, and he used this overhook that we talked about to drive Corey to the mat, right? And this is an unorthodox way to take somebody down, but he's so good at steering people and getting them off balance. So Corey knows like, oh man, I don't want to be here. So right when he hits the floor, let's watch that. Let's watch how he holds on to this. I want everybody to pay attention to the detail work here from Aljo and how he's going to do this. So he keeps that wrist. He's on it. He's on it. He's on it. He's aware. And now before you know it, we see it again. What does he want? He wants that over-under. He wants that seat belt, right? Once he gets that grip, he's so good at controlling the position. And let's watch Aljamain Sterling, just with that grip, elevate his body. I mean, look at him. He's not even on the freaking ground right here. And it's not like he's got a really strong position. It's his balance and that grip. And he's going to hop on Sandhagen's back here so fast. I mean, Sandhagen barely made any mistakes right there, to be fair. But just the fact that he can split the fence that way, and he's so good at it. So now he's all the way on Sandhagen's back. And before Sandhagen can do anything, look at Aljo. He's locked in already, too. Even though he doesn't end up getting the choke here, man, he rips him all the way back. This is a bad spot. He's already got this locked in, too. This is his bread and butter. This is called a body triangle, all right? He wants to get this foot locked behind this knee. His dexterity here. Usually guys try to sit out, put pressure on the ankles so the guy will release. And this is what Sandhagen's doing. You can see Sandhagen here. He knows what he's supposed to do. So he's trying to put his body and turn his hips into that lock to put pressure on it to release. Aljamain's like, boy, I can hang out here all day long. Once he gets to this spot, I've never seen him look uncomfortable, ever. I mean, he can operate here and do so many different things, and he's just winning. So you see Sandhagen, he's trying to roll into it. He's trying to do the right things, but I want you to see how Aljo does this right here. He's got such a squeeze right here. Now he's really locking all this in right here, and he's squeezing and putting all that torque on Sandhagen's body. And look at how he attacks the neck. He's ripping the chin up, and he exposes Sandhagen's chin right here. If you look at it, by ripping the chin up, he exposed Sandhagen's chin. And that's exactly what he wanted to do. And man, you got to be pretty strong to do this. And you got to be pretty skilled because Sandhagen knows exactly what's going on. And he's trying his best to stop it. You see Sandhagen doing his best here to say 2-on-1, which is the rule. Don't let him connect his hands. But Aljo's so good here. He's just like, all right, whatever. Once he gets this back position, now watch him pull Corey back on top of him. I mean, look at the torque. Look at Corey's face. Corey's trying to get away, still trying to move, still trying to move. And now here we see Aljo again attacking the neck. And then there again is that clamp, right? He was just trying to go for it over and over. And now this is not a good situation. And when you see this, it's still not locked in 100%, right? He still has not connected his hands, but he still has the body triangle. And as he rolls over, watch Aljo, how fast and how deep this choke gets. And the extension, the full extension that he puts on Sandhagen here. And again, I really think this is exactly what he's going to try to do against O'Malley. And I know O'Malley knows that as well. There's no choice here. You're not getting out of that. Sandhagen kind of goes to tap, but he goes to sleep. This is Aljamain Sterling's bread and butter. He gets this position on you. You've got big, big problems. Effortless stuff. Amazing grappler and the champ, Aljo.
Well, on the other side is Sean O'Malley, known for his stand-up. He's going to have to test himself on the ground against a guy like Aljamain Sterling. So what have you seen from the defensive grappling of Sean O'Malley through his UFC career to this point to make you think, yeah, he's got a shot on the ground?
Look, we all know the guy's a striker, and we all know that, he likes to stay on the feet. But this guy's a brown belt under Augusto Mendez. He does a lot of grappling tournaments. He's good.
Yeah.
He's good. He can grapple. But we really don't think he's going to try to grapple Aljo, right? I mean, that just doesn't make sense. So we want to look at the defensive grappling in this matchup and kind of some of the things he does. And we want to be real specific here for our viewers and kind of try to give them an idea of what we think is going to happen. We know that O'Malley likes to throw the front kick. We saw Aljo grab Sandhagen's kick. So we put this in here because you're going to see O'Malley's going to throw his front kick. He's going to land it. And right away, Pavia is going to try to grab his leg, which is smart. I wouldn't want to try to stand with him either. He wants to cut the range. Now let's stop it right here. You cannot turn away from Aljamain Sterling. He will take your back. And O'Malley understands this. And he shows this right here. What we call this is a limp leg. We want to limp our leg out of here, right? And this takes a lot of athleticism. You got to push your toes downward too so you can fit your foot out of that. Otherwise, your heel will get caught in here. So there's a lot of coordination that's actually going on in this process. And O'Malley's doing a great job here. He gets his leg out. Great. But let's stop right here. Man, I mean, it looks like to me he's given up what? It looks like he's given up his back, right? And this is the position that he wants. He's looking for that. He's looking for that back control. Watch O'Malley be so aware here. He's going to turn inside and look at this underhook that he gets right here. We always say, you got to attack what's attacking you. You've got to go towards the pressure. So he knew he was turning. What? He came inside. He gets this underhook. And more impressively with the underhook, watch how he gets off the fence. He's controlling the other wrist as well right here, the other bicep in the hand. And he shuts that takedown down and turns and gets away from the fence so fast, so effectively, so efficient, and he's already back in the middle. So he's going to have to do this against Aljo. Here's an example of him defending against the fence. And here's what we really got to talk about. This all comes down to hand fighting and wrist control. And I want to focus on O'Malley's ability here to really stay on the wrist. Let's watch how he stays on the wrist. He refuses to give up his back. See that? He is fighting tooth and nail right here. Again, we see the 2-on-1 on the wrist, and he's trying to turn in, right? Jan is trying to keep him going towards the fence. And O'Malley just shows that he understands what he needs to do. Look at that wrist control. He will not give up his back, turn in. And we're going to see how he finishes this right here. So this shows us that against Peter Yan, even though he did get controlled at times, he was able to get up. He was able to create these scrambles. And if he can create these scrambles against Aljo, you never know. All he needs to do is catch him one time. Mm-hmm. So we're not saying that he's not going to get taken down, but if he can create enough scrambles to stay upright, then his chances increase tenfold. Let's say Aljo does get him down. Well, it's critical that he doesn't give up his back, and I think that he understands that. But we want to look at the guard work here of O'Malley. So he's down here. Jan's got him. But let's watch what he does. He's, first of all, for all my jiu-jitsu guys out here, he's controlling posture, right? Hey, control posture. We don't want the guy to posture up and beat us up. So he controls posture. Second, we're going to see him, he's going to use like a little knee shield right here. There it is. So this is called a knee shield. And you can try to scissor sweep from here. He's got his knee across the belly. He's controlling the posture. This is an offensive attack from the guard. Doesn't always work, but you're trying to create space. Well, Jan shuts that down. So then O'Malley attacks triangle, right? He goes right from that to triangle because Jan postures up, which is what you're supposed to do. So O'Malley flows right into that triangle. And then here's a little omoplata that doesn't work. Then he gets the wrist again, and we're going to see him grab the head and control posture again. So this is just showing the defensive grappling. Now, he hasn't gotten hit once, right? Because he's been attacking the whole time. So now we see he's got Jan close to him again. Jan lands a little shot. Now we're going to see a little straight armbar attempt here, a little old school straight armbar right here. And these don't really work a lot. But again, it gives Jan something to react to, right? And so O'Malley's attacked three things here, right, from this position. And he's keeping Jan occupied. He's still on the bottom, though, and he doesn't want to be here. So ultimately, he's going to have to build back up. We're going to see him again. He's going to get his feet involved. There's that knee shield. Again, let's get right here. Feet on the hips. I mean, you hear coaches, you hear corners, you hear this every week. Feet on the hips. I got to get my feet on the hips. And the reason why is because I got to create space, right? My legs are so strong, I can push away. I can create that space. And that's exactly what O'Malley's going to do here. He's going to push away. He's going to create some space. And we got to really talk about this elbow. And this elbow is a post, right? And it's a very, very strong post. You always want to keep your elbow posted, not your hand. Because if I'm on my hand, you can knock me over, right? But if I'm on my elbow as a frame, you can't knock me over. So this is exactly what you want to do against a fence. You want to build up. And so he keeps that elbow as a post. He's got that space. He's created it. And we're going to see him start walking his way up here. Now, you can see Jan knows about the feet on the hips. So what? So he actually grabs the foot. He's trying to hold the foot so he can't get it on the ground and he can't post it. But O'Malley stays the course, man. And now he's up. And again, instead of giving up his back, what? He's on this wrist. He understands what he needs to do here. And you see Jan trying to pressure him and don't let him turn. Maybe I can get another takedown. But watch O'Malley. He's diligent on that wrist control, and that wrist control is everything. Slick, and then boom, big left hand right off the break. So O'Malley shows here he knows how to get up. He has the ability and the skill to get up, and he also understands the wrist control and trying to stay away from the cage. Can he do it? I don't have that answer, but I know that he's shown it before against a common opponent in Petr Yan.
That perhaps his biggest challenge of his career against Petr Yan, and a bigger challenge might be dealing with the grappling attack of Aljamain Sterling. Now we'll go into X factors, and I will say one X factor that we don't name here, first 5-round fight for Sean O'Malley, so we'll see how deep it goes. But what's the X factor in favor of Sean O'Malley against Aljamain Sterling?
I mean, this guy is fast. Sean O'Malley has amazing speed and also amazing accuracy. He's not a big guy, but his shot placement and his location, he can drop anyone. He's a threat in the octagon all the time because of this speed. And this is really what I think is, can he catch Aljo with his speed? Let's just watch this. I mean, watch how fast this dude is. Boom, there's one right hand. Bang, there's another one. Here's the real crazy part, though, and we're going to see this here shortly on the replay. I want to watch this guy's right hand here. We know O'Malley likes to shoot the basketball, and he does the whole thing. Yeah. But I want to watch this, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, did this guy just dribble? It looked like his feint was a dribble, and I want you to watch this. Watch what he does here with the right hand here. He's going to give him a little basketball dribble here. Let me dribble the ball once, and now I'm going to go right from the hip. Bang. So I don't know if the guy likes to play basketball. Obviously he does. Even his feints, he's got a little bit of basketball going on. But I mean, that was just slick. You know, maybe it was subconscious. I don't know. But for him to be just down here like, whatever, man, and then to be able to deliver like that, and that's what he does. He's so quick and so long. He can hurt guys just like that. And I mean, he is always a threat because of that shot. And here he's against Eddie Weiland, and this is self-explanatory. He gives a little pump with the left. Just a little pump with the left, and that right hand is so fast, like a laser beam right down the middle. And we've seen this over and over. We saw this in the Contender Series, and we've seen it in UFC. Will we see it on Fight Night against Aljamain Sterling?
That's certainly a big question. On the other side, and we've spoken about the length of Sean O'Malley, and he has the height advantage, but one of the most physically imposing bantamweights in history, if not the most physically imposing bantamweight, is the champion, Aljamain Sterling. So big, so strong, as you mentioned in the tape.
I mean, you're absolutely right, Brendan. You know, we know the story on Aljo, right? I mean, these guys back and forth online, you know, you're going to make weight, and this and that, Aljo flexing, you know, no crash diets for me. We know the whole story. But Aljamain Sterling has never missed weight. This needs to be said. This guy has always made the mark, and he's spoken that this might be his last time at the bantamweight mark because he's just so big and strong. It seems like he is just too much for the other bantamweights. When he gets a hold of these guys, whether it's Henry, no matter who, he just seems to be too strong and too physical. Same thing we saw him do against Sandhagen. And I really think that this is power versus speed here. I really do. And so let's just take a look at this. I mean, the size of him. I mean, just look at his hamstrings right here. I mean, He's just a big guy. And his skills, too. I don't want to just say, oh, he's so big, he's a weight bully. He's so skilled on the ground as well. So you couple those two things together, I mean, he makes guys just look miserable down there. And I mean, again, Peter Yan had some control time against O'Malley. You know, he looked like he might be a little stronger than him. Well, he is not stronger than Aljo. I mean, and Aljo really putting it on Peter and Yan in the second fight with the power in these positions. And I mean, you can see he's not even moving down here. I mean, he is stuck, literally stuck down there. Here he is against Cody Stamann. And the reason I put this in here is because Cody is a college wrestler, strong guy, you know, physical.
Yeah.
And we just watched this clip. I mean, first of all, you know, this breakdown right here, I mean, this is just not something that you see. You don't see this kind of physical domination, right? Especially, I've never seen Cody Stamann get dominated like this. And this is what Aljo does to guys. When he gets on top and he starts getting that hamstring power in there, and he starts, look at this, these legs are in the air, and he's just so powerful here. I mean, he's just big brother in him right here, honestly. And we use this clip because if he gets Sugar in these positions and Sugar can't move, you know, it might be a short night. And we don't know that yet, you know. We know that O'Malley's slick, but we don't know how that strength is going to apply on the ground. And here he is on the finish, and this is a Sulov stretch. We just put this in here because it's very rare. This is when you crank on the leg, and you're actually going to put stress on the hamstring. This crank, he's going to pull this leg forward, and he's going to extend that hamstring here, right here. And then you see Stamann yelling and tapping. And man, this is so hard to do. You've got to be so strong to land this submission against another elite wrestler. So Aljamain Sterling just seems to be too physical and too strong for these guys. And really, that's going to be the X factor. Can he keep O'Malley down? And if O'Malley gets down, can O'Malley get up?
Well, let's go through the keys to victory now as we kind of summarize what we just saw. And we'll start with the champion, Aljamain Sterling. What does he need to do to continue to keep his belt?
He's got to cut off the octagon. We've seen Aljo right out the gates. I mean, he just comes right out there. You know, we saw it against Henry. We saw it against everybody. He tries to push guys behind the black line. He's so good at switching his feet, throwing those kicks, getting those guys busy, and before they know it, they're against the fence. And I look for a very similar approach that he had against Sandhagen. He is going to come out storming and really try to take away O'Malley's length and his explosiveness and really cut that range off. To do that, he's going to have to utilize the wrestling. We talked about his All-American wrestling pedigree. We all know what Aljo's good at. O'Malley knows what Aljo's good at. Aljo knows what he's good at. He's going to try to push him back. He's going to try to use that grappling, get that squeeze on him, try to break him down. Even if he doesn't finish him, he's going to try to wear him down and bank some rounds. Lastly, though, he has to use quick footwork and movement. And O'Malley's camp is going to be looking for whatever holes they can. And with O'Malley's speed and his setups and the way that he sets those traps with his footwork, he's really going to have to be diligent with his footwork and his motion and make sure he doesn't get timed by the Sugar Show.
Well, Sean O'Malley finds himself in a 5-round fight and a title fight, headlining a pay-per-view. This is new territory for him. What's the keys to victory if the Sugar Show becomes a champion?
Oh, O'Malley's got to control the distance. This guy, and I always talk about masterful controlling the distance that you see from champions. O'Malley has that. I mean, I was so impressed when I broke down the film on O'Malley. I always learn so much about these athletes, and this guy's distance management, his distance control are so good. He sets all that up with switching his feet, and it's something unique, and I'm sure that he's really gonna have some tricks up his sleeve. To do all that great stuff, he has to stay off the fence. I mean, look, we saw the tape with Aljo. We know what Aljo can do, especially against the cage, his cage wrestling, but also how he splits the cage and gets that body triangle, how good he is there. I mean, I've never seen somebody with some of those tricks. I mean, he's doing that stuff to Henry. So, I mean, I'm sure O'Malley's got good defense, but I don't know if he's as good of a wrestler as Henry Cejudo. And we know what happened in the Yan fight. We saw some of that physicality play out. So he cannot stay against the fence. And all it's going to take is one of those takedowns for him to lock that body triangle and really kind of kill the clock. Lastly, he has to win the scrambles. He cannot lose those scrambles. If he does, those rounds are going to ride out. That ground control is going to ride out. Aljo's not a guy that's just going to sit there either. He's going to hit him, right? He's going to score. So he'll still score his damage. It's not like he's just going to sit there and do nothing. He's going to attack. He cannot lose those scrambles. He's got to keep it on the feet and find those opportunities to try to get that shot like Marlon did.
It was 6 years ago. It was the summer of 2017, Sayif, on first season of Dana White's Contender Series when Sean O'Malley arrived with that big first-round knockout win. He immediately became a fighting star. He has largely delivered and lived up to that superstardom hype, and now he finds himself in a headliner with the bantamweight belt on the line. Aljamain Sterling, he was the established contender back then.
Yeah.
Rode that wave to a championship, and he's looking to defend yet again. It'll happen at UFC 292 in Boston. Thanks for watching UFC Breakdown. Sayif Saud, masterfully done as always. Enjoy the fights.